Hello Team FD and welcome back to Winners and Losers, where we break down the latest and greatest World Cup action. You pair nodding like a pair of Churchill dogs there. I can see it in the monitor. It really put me off, but we're going to move forward. And of course, on today's episode, we're talking about England's dismantling of Senegal. 3-0. The three Lions defeating the Lions of Teranga. And that continues the strange quirk of England never losing to an African team in the World Cup. So in this episode, we're going to identify where the game was won for England and where the game was lost for Senegal. Henry, let's start with the latter then, because Senegal actually made a pretty positive start to this game, but it went downhill and downhill pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. I was surprised that this is the first time these two teams have met, so a bit of, I guess, added spice in that regard. But yeah, Senegal had lots to go for. They've been brilliant in knockout football ever since winning the AFCON, and I think actually they look quite impressive through the group stages. However, I think ultimately the fact that Gana Gueye wasn't in the central midfield has really hindered them, because he's just got that level of experience and that ability to shield the defence, which I don't think that the guys who came in really had as well. Kouyaté also injured for this match too. Papa Gueye was taken out of the side. He was starting the previous match. So yeah, I mean, if you look at Mendy, who came in, he hardly plays for Leicester, doesn't he?
No.
Substitute appearances. And Cease as well, midfield, plays for Rayo Vallecano, who's only had a few years at the top level. This was only his third cap for his country, so also quite inexperienced. And I think we saw the England team, when they did break them down, it started with Jude Bellingham bursting through in midfield. I think that was just a gulf of class in that when England really managed to get a foothold in the game. But as you said, up until that point, they did look promising. Senegal deserve loads of credit for. They're a well-coached side. I think Aliou Cisse has done a great job in charge over the years, and you could see that they grew in confidence. First 35 minutes were sort of knocking the ball around England, who looked a bit shaky. Must admit, I'm sure Dukes will get into it. And yeah, I mean, what a huge chance to take the lead. They had that little moment where they had to capitalise on their opportunities, and they couldn't quite make it happen. I mean, there were one shot on targets, drawn an amazing save from Pickford. But I think once England did get that opening goal, which just did, like I said, just come from an explosive move through midfield, then we saw the life kind of drain away from Senegal, and it looked a bit clueless really in the second half. It never looked like they were going to trouble this England side. I think, it was 6 shots from outside the box. It was a very comfortable victory for England in the end, wasn't it? And actually, I personally think Mendy's let them down a little bit in goal. I mean, he's conceded 3 from 1.2 expected. In my opinion, he should have done better for the first goal. I don't like to be rude about him. I think he gets a bit of an unfair stick. But yeah, it wasn't a great game for him. But yeah, ultimately, I just think the lack of world-class bodies in that midfield has just sort of held Senegal back. But great fans, great tournament for them out of the group stages. Lots to look forward to for Senegal. Yeah, great team. We've got a real soft spot for them.
Nice, yeah, pretty toothless in attack, like you said, and ultimately that did cost them, and how porous they were in midfield because they were lacking some of their mainstays. But England, it seems like the game was won in midfield on that 38-minute mark, the first time we properly had a counter or a counter-attack with any impetus, and it was Jude Bellingham at the heart of it. Is he someone you want to focus on for a second?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think he really saved us from quite a sticky patch, to be honest. I thought it was one of the worst passages that England have had in this tournament. The previous 15, 20 minutes before that, Maguire and Stones and Shaw, who are probably our best ball progressors from the back, really struggling to find those passes into midfield. And I thought Senegal marked really effectively in midfield in that period of the game. But yes, Jude Bellingham, he's so good in tight spaces, as we know. He's so dynamic, he's so athletic, he's so massive. Like, on the pitch, he just looks huge. And he just eases past players. Found Jordan Henderson, great finish from Henderson, who had another great game. Another selection decision from Southgate that's really come off, his introduction into the team at the right time. And Southgate's decisions throughout this team and throughout this World Cup have just been perfect. I think Saka's reintroduction tonight from the start was a masterstroke, as it turned out. Phil Foden keeping his place from the start over Marcus Rashford. A lot of people were worried about the fact we didn't have Rashford starting, but Foden was excellent once again. And again, we just see England players rising to the occasion under a difficult moment, reacting to pressure and coming through it really comfortably in the end. That second half was a bit of a stroll in the park. And how often have we said that in knockout football with England prior to this Southgate reign? Rarely, if any. And I think they represent the best of us off the pitch as well. You know, there's so many players with amazing storylines, whether it's Rashford and all the stuff he did with the government and raising money for, you know, all the children, the underprivileged children in this country. Raheem Sterling taking on the press, the more racist elements of the press. Jack Grealish helping out that kid with cerebral palsy. They seem like great guys. And they are performing on this stage and in major tournaments. We've now scored 22 goals and conceded 4 in our last 8 tournament games, losing just 1, which was on penalties to Italy in the Euros. So this side marched forward into the quarterfinals to await a very difficult France test, but they can be very, very pleased with their display tonight.
Yeah, like Henry said, we were outshot, I think 10-8 in the end, but in that second half there seemed to be a 5-10 minute spell straight after half-time, after Senegal made a triple substitution as well, where England's line was 20 yards higher, and there was a real impetus to go for that third goal, and that of course happened with Saka, and then England just coasted from there on in, right? And it was really great to see Bellingham not just partake in the attacking elements, but 6 tackles and interceptions in this game as well, which I believe was a team high. So doing the dirty work as well, looking like a very complete young man out there at the age of 19. Really, really scary stuff. Let's look ahead to France then. Because what a mouth-watering quarter-final we have on our hands. Now, earlier on in the tournament, I asked Joe whether Tunisia beating France made them look a little bit more surmountable. But having watched them dismantle Poland pretty comfortably earlier today, are you feeling a little bit reticent again, Henry? How do you feel as an England fan going into this match?
This is the most exciting matchup, I think, of the World Cup so far, even more so than Germany versus Spain, in my opinion. I'm not going to read too much into France turning over that Polish side. I mean, go check out on EFD for our breakdown of that match in more detail. But across the board, England have far greater quality, in my opinion. So yeah, I think that England do have the...
Then France or then Poland?
Well, then Poland.
Right. Just clarifying on that, right?
The comments.
We're going to destroy it. No, it's the thing that we've got, which is just unbelievable, is the ability to bring on substitutes and change a game. I think we've gone over it so much. Okay, Grealish didn't really make much of an impact in this game, but he didn't really have to. But if we're chasing a game, we can come on and attack their fullbacks. We talked about Koundé as a potential weak link. I'd like to see him go up against some of the quicker players in the England squad. Listen, I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, they're getting carried away going for England, but we've got every right to believe that our midfield and attack can take on this French side. I mean, Harry Kane is still Harry Kane. Great to see him actually get on the score sheet, get his tournament up and running, closing in on that England record once more. So yeah, we've had pedigree against France in the past, and I genuinely believe that their defence, I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring match. I think it's going to be quite a conservative setup by both managers that are sort of quite similar in that regard. But yeah, I certainly do think that England have those moments where they could really take a grip of this match. And also, let's not forget that our abilities from set piece is still there. We still have that threat of our defenders coming forward. So we're just going to have to maximise every moment that we get in that French box.
Yeah.
But as the Tunisia game does show, they can be beaten.
Although, fingers crossed, John Stones is fit and healthy, did come off in this game. And we always have concerns about those hamstrings, don't we? Particularly when things feel like they're going a little too well at times. Now, Gareth has mixed and matched that front three. How would you approach this France game then? Would you stick with the same 11 that he's rolled with today, or
I think
a bit of experimentation from
I think fitness permitting, I probably would stick with the same 11, to be honest. I do slightly worry. I didn't think Kyle Walker had his best game tonight against Senegal. I thought it was probably one of the weaker performances and a solid England performance all round. But he has played very well against Kylian Mbappe in the past, and John Stones has gone up against him as that right side of that Man City defence. I think it was against PSG in the semi-finals in the 2021 Champions League, and they kept Mbappe largely quiet in that. Although, having said that, Pep Guardiola's Man City are going to dominate the ball far greater against PSG than I probably expect England to against France. I think the midfield battle is where I'm really intrigued, and I could actually see England maybe getting a little bit of a foothold in that. Chouameni, I think, is brilliant, but Rabiot, we've only really seen in the last 3-4 months the player that he was supposed to be. For years, he was so highly rated at PSG and actually was sort of drifting for his first couple of years at Juventus. He's really hit top form in the last couple of months as well. But yes, in terms of our forward options, I think the Foden could manipulate Koundé into more awkward scenarios, but I do kind of want to see the pace of Rashford in behind.
Yeah.
Having said that, maybe that's the last 20-minute job.
Yeah, I did tweet that ahead of this fixture, and I think I'm going to stick to my guns. I just think Phil Foden, great against a sitting defence or a deeper defence because he's going to help unpick it. Obviously great at receiving the ball in the box as well, drifting into that number 9 space or false 9 space, which he does so adeptly for his club. But I think we might play a little bit more in transition against France. And although they're no slouches, Koundé maybe is the element, especially with Ousmane Dembele in front of him, like we said earlier, that's not maybe one of the only elements that's not world class in their side, and I would like to see Rashford operating in that left channel come half space that he does so well for both club and country. Let's not forget he would have been used to playing in transition because Erik ten Hag has sort of adopted that approach to games, hasn't he, over the last 3-4 months, been a bit more pragmatic versus Foden. So can maybe do a little bit more damage, but it is very, very fine margins.
Oh, yeah, I don't think we can overlook England's deficiencies, and we did see that in the first half. I mean, once again, I hate to sort of bash him, but
how unpatriotic of you!
All
right,
Maguire did have a few shaky moments. Certainly, the defence did. There was a very sort of lethargic first 20 minutes where England didn't really seem to be their passing together. They looked slow. They looked slow on the ball. The defence seems to be panicking, and this is where we got away with it against Senegal. But if that happens against France, if Rabiot bursts forward, manages to pressure someone, pinch the ball, then they've got some of the most lethal finishers in the world, and France will be bang up for this. Let's have it right after their sort of Euros disaster against Switzerland. Mbappe on absolute fine form. So yeah, we can't afford to make any defensive errors at the back, and that's really where I think France definitely do have an opportunity. They will be targeting our centre halves. I think they'll be putting pressure under them. I think they'll know that is where England could crack.
Big question for both of you. Would you stick with the back four? Do you think Gareth is going to be, like you said, conservative and play a back three? Particularly if John Stones is out, maybe that would change his thinking, and Dyer was coming in, maybe he feels like he needs walk on the right side of a back three.
If Dyer comes in, that would probably be ideal to go to a back three if he has to, just because Dyer's much better in a back three, has played in a back three for Spurs this season. It would probably make sense to put him in the middle, so Walker on the right,
plan B for
and then Maguire at left. But ideally, I'd want a 4-3-3 again. I think Henderson's made a massive difference in midfield, and also this role that we found for Jude Bellingham. He looks like one of the best players in the world in this position. I know it's only been a few games, and of course we've seen it for Dortmund as well, but this is really his, he's been doing it in the Champions League, of course, as well, but this is his announcement on the world stage, absolutely. And he looks so just fantastic right now. It's difficult to really sum it up any better than that. He just looks so comfortable on the ball, and I think he could cause France some major issues. And I actually think if France are dominating the ball, which I expect them to, I think we could be absolutely lethal on the counter-attack against some of these guys. Upamecano's had some shaky moments for Bayern Munich over the last 18 months, playing that higher line. Varane's just coming back to full fitness. And Theo Hernandez is consistently used as an attacking threat at AC Milan, but it's only because Calabria really tucks in on that right-hand side. So I think man for man, we can cause that defence massive issues. And then we talked about it on our EFD video. Hugo Lloris, I'd be popping on shots regularly from outside the box. I think he's got a bit of a clanger in him. So I've got a little bit of hope. Man for man, I'd say France are favourites. And we do go in as underdogs, but I quite like that position.
Yeah, I think for Bellingham, Henderson's becoming invaluable, isn't he? Because it just brings a real nice sense of balance to that midfield when you've got Henderson and Rice sat in behind him, giving him a little bit more licence to roam, and then having Saka on that right-hand side, who is defensively so sound. We saw it in this game, coming back and helping Kyle Walker out where necessary. That is going to be big against the attacking powerhouses that are Theo Fernandez, Kylian Mbappe. Trembling a little bit saying those names, but let's just hold firm. Okay. Anything you wanted to add from a tactical perspective on England? Didn't ask you about the back three.
No, I agree. If Stones is out or carrying a niggle, then maybe. But I mean, I wouldn't throw extra bodies in there into that defence unnecessarily. I don't think
very reactive
our
approach to that, right?
Had much quality which we can't shore up in the midfield. I can maybe see even Phillips playing more of a role in the next game. But yeah, no, I just want England to be positive, be confident. We're the top scorers in this competition. We had that USA game, but we've been looking comfortable, blitzing teams, getting early goals. Certainly the Senegal game anyway. But yeah, I think I just want England to be positive and believe that they can go and take on this French side because why not? Yeah, it's going to be a classic. I'm really excited. I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, I think like you've said as well, just multifaceted off the bench. We have counter, we have control, but this is going to be a real heavyweight clash, and yeah, not great to see France back at their swaggering best against Poland. But never mind, never mind. What do you lot think at home? Let us know in the comments below. Hit us up with your score predictions and your lineups. I want to know if there's any tactical geniuses out there. Yeah, like I said, we'll get back to you in the first hour if possible. And if not, we'll see you on FD and EFD tomorrow. 2 more shows coming your way. Like this video, subscribe to the channel with notifications on, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.